Hi, this is Jim, and I'm gonna start putting some trend arrows on my site that will be very helpful for your trading. Now, a good way to use them is like with any system you have, you could use them as kind of like a double check or a backup, or just to see if I was on this, saying the same thing you were saying. And you could probably just take buy and sells just off the arrows, but there are sometimes they're going to be choppy. That's just the nature of trend arrows because these are like for a trend trading system, trend following system, and it's not going to catch market highs and lows. That's not what trend, anything with the trend is going to kind of catch it after the market has turned. So, like, say on this corn chart, for example, it's not going to catch a top. It's not going to sell into a high. But when the market turns here, the arrow will go short. Now, this is a really choppy chart of corn here, and that's why I wanted to bring this one up first because just again, trend following by its very nature, if the market's super choppy like this chart here, there are going to be some choppy arrows. There are going to be some times when it's going to go short, and then over here maybe long, and then maybe here short. But overall, I think I can get these arrows right 90% of the time, and if not 90% of the time, 80% of the time, because I've figured out some things where I can filter out some of the bad signals and make them a lot better. I've tried these on my site a couple times, and each time I kind of had trouble keeping up with them, and plus I just wasn't quite happy with them. But not like I said, I've come up with just a few more little things that I think will keep the arrows more on target. Now here's a chart of coffee. This goes back to January, actually December, but right at the first of the year basically. And on this, the way I do these arrows is the market would have came into a top here, and it's gonna usually it depends on how the bars play out. Like if it's one big slam bar down, the arrow might turn down. But normally this is a pretty good example here, and I don't right now I got the 10-10 bands on this chart. That's not what I use for the arrows. I just got them on the chart right now. I do look at them to help me call the arrows because there is a little bit of judgment in these. I got them mostly 100% automatic, but there is a few times when there's a little bit of judgment involved. So I do look at the 10-10 bands, but that's not the main thing I use for these arrows. But anyway, so here would have been a market turn here, and then right when it came down in this area, we would have got a short arrow, and that would have been right about around the end of January, and that arrow would have stayed short the whole time here. So you can see when the market is trending, this is going to be a very powerful thing because let's say you get to follow my arrows and you get to trust them because you've seen them work enough, which I think you will if you follow them. I think you will get to trust them. And let's say you were wanting to go long coffee here, you thought it was making a base, and you saw that my arrow was staying down, and you decided not to go long because you thought, well, those arrows are right like 90% of the time, so I'm not going to go long, and it would have saved you a bad trade. And I think that's the way you can use these. Again, in here, a lot of people would have probably seen this as a base and would have been trying to get long in here. And again, my trend arrow would have stayed short, so that could have helped you stay short coffee. So I think these can be a great help in trading. They're not going to be perfect, as nothing is perfect in trading. There is nothing that is 100%. But I think I can really get these, like, keep you on the right side of the market like 90% of the time. And if not 90% of the time, 80% of the time. And it will just be a good backup to whatever you're using. And again, I think you could use the trend arrows just all on their own and take the buy and sell signals off the arrows, and you could make money on them. But I'm not recommending that. I'm just recommending using them to help with whatever you're doing. Now, these arrows are not going to be a substitute for my premium newsletter signals. If you want the actual trades that I'm putting out, these trend arrows won't do it. You need to get the actual buy and sell signals because what'll happen is a lot of time my trade might be right around the trend arrow time. Matter of fact, it probably mostly will be right around when the trend arrows change. But the problem is, here's a good example on that because we had a trade just the other day in cocoa, And I hope I'm not making this video too long. Um, Sorry if I am. Anyway, see on cocoa we would have went short like right here about 22.20 say, and then the market slammed down, and 21.79 was the close, so we were basically about $400-$500 ahead on this trade, and that's probably when my trend arrow would have changed. Well, see, you couldn't. It'd be hard to take that trade after we had entered that trade because we were already $400 or $500 ahead of it in the premium newsletter, and so then if I put out the next day, I put out a trend arrow change, and then you tried to get in the trade. Well, it would have worked. You would have went short here and then had a little bit of profit, but it's just a little dicier. In other words, you need to get the premium newsletter entry points to trade the arrows right, really. But the arrows will help you with other things in the market. So I'll be going over these arrows some more and explaining them a little more, and as we go, we'll see how they work, and give me some feedback if you're following them. Let me know what you think, and then we'll see how they go. So thanks for listening to my video, Jim.